high school sports on the Animal. It's time for the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy.
We are the champions.
Good morning to you.
With all the latest in prep sports in Green Country and beyond, here are your hosts, Michael Knight.
You know what I am? I'm your worst nightmare, man. And that's what I am.
And Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I'm famous. Slotty Dob.
Welcome into this week's edition of the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. I'm your host, Michael Knight, joined alongside Ben Johnson, and we are coming to you live from the Sports Animal Studios here at 11 a.m., and it's pretty easy going forward throughout the rest of the football season. When OU kicks off at 11, we kick off at 11 because your home for Sports, the Sports Animal, a tradition here on the Sports Animal has always been countdown to kickoff. And when there's an 11 a.m. kick, they run from 8 to 10. And then you have the Fat Jack Hour, and then you have the OK Preps Roundup. So that is where we come in, powered by Excel Therapy. So we hope you have the televisions tuned in to OUTU and the laptops, smartphones, tablets, computers, radios dialed in right here to the OK Preps Roundup. We're talking all things Week 3. And Ben, here in the Tulsa metro area, there wasn't much to talk about after Mother Nature had her way with the northeast part of Oklahoma. Games were delayed, games were postponed, and most games were just flat out canceled, with it being the last week in non-district play. Not a real rush to get those games in.
Yeah, frustrating, especially with the way the weather played out, because there seemed to be some storm clouds that just kind of lingered around. But I was texting with some coaches back and forth, and if you look at a radar map, then you use some common sense, then you can start maybe working on a game plan to start playing. But we've now, thanks to the association, we now have a rule: if you see lightning, drop everything you're doing and don't do anything for 30 minutes. Don't even look outside. Stay hunkered down.
Yep.
Take shelter.
And that was
I get the safety reasons, but at some point, common sense needs to tell you, okay, we might be able to play because this isn't coming towards us.
That was the thing that was a little disappointing because, the storm in Tulsa wasn't bad at all.
Right.
It was just rain. But the thing about it was the lightning, and that's what caused the cancellations, the postponements, was every now and then you'd see the flash of lightning close nearby the stadium. And once again, it is Week 3. It is a non-district game, although we had some really good matchups last night that both of us were fired up for. One of those games taking place later on tonight because they decided let's go ahead and play it, that being Broken Arrow taking on Union there at Memorial Stadium later on this evening. It is disappointing, but at the same time, it's non-district, doesn't count towards playoff seeding, so you definitely have to take safety first. And in the age we live in, people are going to 100% toe that line as opposed to risking it.
Yeah, and I think the frustrating part is really on the end of all the home teams because that's just lost money. I think I saw Tony Dillingham said that by not playing last night, that's going to cost Jinx about $20,000. Yeah, that hurts.
Right. No, it definitely does.
And that definitely has to make you reconsider whether you want to try and regroup and play on a Saturday like BA and Union managed to work in today.
And, I would love to have the conversations with athletic directors across the state that, it's a pretty simple question: why not play Saturday? And just see what the answers are. I'm sure there are going to be different reasons, but at the same time, losing that gate definitely hurts a lot of these schools. But we did have football across the state, mainly in the Oklahoma City area. There were some good games here on the east side as well. Let's start in Class 6A Division I, and it's an all-west side affair as the only 4 teams in 6A Division I that are on the east side, they didn't play because they were playing each other, either postponed or canceled. So let's go over to the west side, Ben. Mustang and Southmore, the Great West Hope, so to speak. Both of them avoid upsets last night. The Broncos were down to Edmond Memorial 24-14 at one point. They come back to win 28-24, led by Chandler Garrett. The Bulldogs' defense was really stifling, causing Chandler problems all night long. How about Southmore in a battle of undefeateds? How good is Edmond Santa Fe? I don't know, but they're 2-0 coming into that game. And a young Southmore team gets tested, and they pass, winning 34-31. Which one, as far as Mustang coming back to beat Edmond Memorial and Southmore holding on against Santa Fe, which one impressed you more?
To be honest, what kind of impressed me is Edmond Memorial. Mustang had just putting up points in bunches earlier on this year. So to hold Mustang, I know 28 is still a decent amount of points, but to hold a Mustang offense to 28 points is solid and, could spell some trouble for some teams coming up in district play. And then I think the time to be worried about Southmore if your other 6A1 coaches is now.
Yeah, I
think they're starting to figure things out. And, before the year started, we said this is a team to watch out for. Maybe on down the road. I think that road is approaching, and it's here now.
The road is getting shorter, that's for sure. And this is a great test for Southmore. That's a game that I want to look. The first 2 weeks, they blew out their team. Last week, they handled Westmore. Casey Thompson was our player of the week, 7 total touchdowns.
Right.
They had no problem with the Jags. First week, they had problems with Edmond Memorial in the first half, but if you look at the final score, 35-3, it looks like they handle Edmond Memorial, who put a scare into Mustang last night. I like the fact that the SaberCats got a scare from Edmond Santa Fe before they head into district play, where they'll get tested by Mustang, where they'll get tested by both Union and Owasso. I picked Southmore to make it to the championship game before the season started to face Jinx. I have them losing to the Trojans, but I'm feeling pretty good about that prediction right now, simply because they're figuring things out. They've been tested, and once they go into district play, they're only going to get better. It's not like this team is going to regress throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, this is a young team, and the more games they play, the more they start to figure things out. And, like I just said a second ago, it's not great news for teams like Union, Mustang, and Owasso, who might have thought that it was – I don't think they assumed it was a 3-horse race between those three because, at this point, I would be inclined to take Southmore over Owasso.
Right. UConn knocking off Deer Creek 28-23. Deer Creek had a hot start to the season. They're trying to take that next step to possibly contending for the 5A state championship. They fall to 2-1 after the 28-23 win. Deer Creek's Hail Mary at the end of the game on 4th down. It was a little overthrown out of the back of the end zone. How about Moore on Thursday night beating Norman 19-6? This was a team, and I'm not sure if I just talked with you about them off the air or if I talked about them in our 6A preview. I like Moore this year to have a bounce back year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs by any means, but at the same time, they're definitely improved from last year, and they snapped their 18-game losing streak, losing to Norman beating Norman 19-6. They've been so close over the last couple of weeks. It's good to see the Lions get a win.
Yeah, if Moore is going to be solid, that just adds depth to District 2. That's going to, a lot of those teams might think, well, maybe we can kind of coast through this week, secure a win and maybe move on. Well, that can't be the case against Moore this year because, they are playing solid right now. They hung tough with an Edmond Santa Fe team, which we just talked about, played down to the wire with Southmore.
Yep.
So, I was looking at Westmore. Moore is probably not a team that at this point you can start just circling and be like, that's a win, let's move on.
Yep. In Class 6A Division II, we had the Mid-Del Clash once again, Midwest City. They made sure there was no second-half comeback this time. They gave up 21 unanswered to Carl Albert last week. This time they jumped up on Del City and were able to pull away with a 37-14 victory. One of the things that really stood out to me is the obvious one, the Bombers' defense. We knew how good it is and has been over the last couple of years, but I'll be honest, we made our picks yesterday afternoon. I had Del City winning this one, and I wasn't sure how the Bombers would deal with quarterback Terry Wilson, who's now in a commitment to the University of Oregon. And they handled themselves pretty well, forcing 5 turnovers as Terry Wilson throws 4 interceptions, loses 1 fumble, and the Bombers able to roll to a big rivalry win.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one whenever we were making our picks. Just that Terry Wilson factor kind of had me, do I go Del City?
Yeah.
But I'm still hung up on Midwest City's performance. They lost to Booker T in week 1, but then they bounced back and really handled Carl Albert last week, and we talked about Carl Albert hanging in there and making a little comeback. But I think Midwest City was a team that I really overlooked and didn't give a whole lot of value to early on.
Right.
And I think I kind of cast that aside when I picked them this week, and I felt pretty good about it. And after last night, I feel really good about what Midwest City can do probably the rest of the year.
Bixby goes over to Northwest Arkansas to face a Springdale Bulldog squad that was amped up as they renovated their stadium. It was their first home game, and Bixby rolls out of Northwest Arkansas with a 57-38 victory. Nick Roller ran wild over in Springdale. Tanner Griffin in the passing game was awesome as well. Roller finished with 38 carries for 333 yards and 4 touchdowns. Was just a beast last night.
That's impressive. I mean, I was kind of telling you a little bit ago, usually on Friday nights, Bixby will send out their stats to most people, and I'm on that list. But I didn't see them last night, and, it could have something to do with traveling to Arkansas and trying to get all of that worked out. But, yeah, when I saw it was 57-38, I was really looking forward to seeing some of these numbers because I figured they were unbelievable because the numbers that Bixby put on East Central the week before were unbelievable, and I figured this is pretty much the same thing. And sure enough, Nick Roller.
I'll tell you what, I'm really excited for the Bixby-Bartlesville matchup now.
Oh, yeah.
Because Springdale was able to throw the ball. They were able to throw the ball on the Spartans, and if I'm Bixby, I'm worried about facing Colton Penrod down the road. He's one of the more underrated quarterbacks in Oklahoma. That's going to be an awesome matchup later on this season in district play.
You don't have to wait very long. October 2nd.
Oh, 2 weeks.
There you go.
In 2 weeks, we'll get it. Sand Springs plays Bartlesville next week, correct?
I believe so.
I believe so. When I was looking forward to next week's games,
Bartlesville hosts Sand Springs.
We got Bartlesville and Sand Springs. That has playoff implications. It's crazy how it'll be week 1 of the district slate, and that's going to decide seeding. I mean, there's no secret about that whatsoever. Booker T, Washington East Central, Guthrie, Sand Springs, Lawton, Sapulpa, all canceled. Guthrie, Sand Springs actually got to play about a quarter and a half before they called that one. If you want to look at how Sand Springs did. They were leading, I believe, 18-7 in the second quarter when that game was called. I love the Sandites. I think that this is an improved team, and that's why when you look at the new top 10 rankings that I released on Sunday in 6A Division II, you have Bixby, Booker T, Sand Springs, and Bartlesville all in the top 4. Coincidentally, they're all in the same district. So that district's definitely going to be fun to watch over the next month or so.
But and we talked a little bit about Muskogee last week, and Ponca City appears to be tough. I mean, this district.
Every team in the district's improved.
Yeah. Sapulpa is not going to be just a pushover this year because when you have a guy like Dave Williams, you're always a threat. I mean, District 1 is going to be must-see football from here on out.
Muskogee, probably one of the more dangerous 0-3 teams in the state of Oklahoma.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Class 5A, how about those Altus Bulldogs? They were trailing Elk City on the road 14-13. We talked with Jeremy Reed about this matchup last week. And I like Elk City after watching that game. I watched a lot of that game last night exclusively on the OK Preps Network.
There you go.
Shameless plug right there. Elk City led 14-13. They look good. I think that 4A1, that district that Anadarko has owned over the last couple of years. You have Weatherford, you have Woodward. Elk City's in that district as well. Don't overlook them going forward. But Altus able to outscore Elk City 22-0 going away to run away with a 35-13 victory. Taven Bordeaux over 200 yards rushing and a touchdown. Altus looking good as they head into district play.
Yeah, when I heard it was 14-13 Elk City, I almost texted you and like, dude, your 5A champion is in a little bit of trouble. Bad. I know it didn't mean a whole lot, but just the perception of losing to an Elk City would have hurt. I mean,
hurt me.
Elk City's good, but when you think of 4A powers in the state, you don't be like, oh, Elk City.
The Elks.
So you got to watch out for Elk City.
No.
So, but yeah, for Altus to, I think for them to close out the way they did was really impressive.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Coach Reed told us how difficult the matchup was going to be, but to close out an Elk City team like that, you got to tip your cap to Altus, and now they have to go through that grind of district play now.
Yeah, and the marquee game next week in that district will be Del City traveling to Ardmore, so Altus not having to worry about some of those top 10 teams that await them in district play just yet, but they will throughout the rest of the month of October. And I'm done. I'm tired of picking against Skiatook. I don't care who they play going forward. They can play Jinx, and I have to pick the Bulldogs at this point. I keep picking against them, and I keep being proven wrong. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not picking against Skiatook going forward anymore. I probably still will, and I'll probably be proved wrong once again. The Bulldogs with a late field goal to beat Collinsville last night 13-10. I got nothing except crow in my mouth after being wrong so many times about the Bulldogs of Skiatook.
Well, you're really beating yourself up over a 13-10 game.
It could have gone
you make
either
it seem
way.
like Skiatook won like 1,000-3.
It could have gone either way, but look, I didn't expect them to beat Oologah last week, and I even said on the show, I'm done overlooking them.
I know.
Fast forward 2 days, I'm picking Collinsville. Nah.
When I made my picks this week, I was trying to sit there and think, okay, I need to pick some games where I might be able to make up some ground on Michael. And I picked Skiatook, and I thought, well, surely he's going to pick Skiatook after what he said. Sure enough, you did not.
I lied.
Yeah.
Yep.
Flat out lied to everyone.
I'm done.
Went with Collinsville, and looked like a great game.
It was.
I'm glad that they got to play.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I watched a lot of that game as well last night. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done picking.
At some
against
point,
the
we just need a
Bulldogs.
photo of you on Friday night in your command center just watching games.
Oh yeah, no, I got them all up. I got little sticky notes on the computer showing me which game is which. I'm like, all right, I'm go to Collinsville. All right, Altus Elk City. I
All
got it
courtesy
everywhere.
of
The OK Preps Network, baby.
There you go.
That's right. Weatherford getting a huge road win once again. That's another game that I was watching last night on the road in Oklahoma City against Bishop McGuinness. I thought McGuinness would bounce back this week after the loss last week against Bishop Kelly. And maybe something's wrong with the McGuinness offense, as last week they were shut out in the first 3 quarters. This week they were shut out in the first 3 quarters again. Weatherford controlled this game from the start, Ben, 21-7. I didn't watch the majority of this game, but I watched enough to know that the Eagles were in charge.
Yeah, I think this one. Who did you pick in this one? I can't remember.
McGuinness.
Yeah,
it was a clean sweep.
We all
Fans
did?
picked McGuinness. Jared
Okay.
picked McGuinness. You picked McGuinness.
Yeah, I think we all kind of fell into that McGuinness trap of, okay, yeah, they lost to Kelly, but it's a close game. They'll bounce back. I mean, at the same time, you tip your cap to Weatherford, and I think that I don't think we were overlooking them, but maybe we weren't giving them enough credit.
I had them ranked number 9. They're definitely getting a boost in this week's 4A rankings.
Right, so it'll be interesting to see what McGuinness does here on out because, they clearly go into district play with some question marks.
And it's bounce back time. That they're coming off 2 losses. The offense hasn't looked very good. They go on the road and face Guthrie next week, and Guthrie hasn't really been world beaters so far this year. They come in. I don't know if the Sand Springs game will officially count as a loss, but they would have lost. I mean, Sand Springs was owning them early and often last night, although the game was called halfway through the second quarter. Haven't looked good. So this is a battle between 2 teams next Friday that they need to get some kind of momentum, and they'll try to get it at the expense of the other. In Class 4A, Oologah bouncing back in a huge way. I can't wait to talk with Brandon Craig, their head coach, about this game. I was fired up for it as Glenpool came into Oologah 2-0, trying to get a 3-0 start headed into the district play, but Oologah turning them away with a 41-7 victory. I looked at the stats this morning, and the Mustangs outgained the Warriors 495-134. Dominating performance, good bounce-back win for Oologah after the loss to Skiatook last week.
Yeah, I texted you during this game last night and was kind of blown away. I think we all picked Oologah to win this game, but at the same time, you thought, well, Glenpool's playing really well. The defense is going good. This might be a low-scoring game. Well, it was low-scoring for Glenpool.
Yeah.
Oologah had no problem.
No
So,
problems on offense.
Not great news for those teams in 4A3.
Yes.
With Oologah because they seem to get some things figured out against Glenpool and watch out for the Mustangs now.
Yeah, the offense is extremely balanced. Casey Bass figuring things out at quarterback. You got a huge target in Braden Despain. I think Despain probably for me is the most underrated receiver in the state. He's not getting enough looks as far as college either. The kid is a playmaker, no doubt about it.
Well, and I just said watch out for Oologah. I'm sure the team that they're playing next week knows all about Oologah because they played them in the championship game.
Yeah, they're definitely looking for revenge next week against Wagner. And looking at the slate, it's kind of weak. I'll be honest. The week 4 slate of games, you don't get very many top 10 matchups. And last week we were spoiled with all the different games featuring ranked teams. This week, not as much. But the game of the week definitely is Oologah traveling to Wagner in a rematch of last year's 4A state championship game. In Class 3A, Heritage Hall, the reigning 3A champs faced the 2A champs and were able to get a little revenge as they lost to Davis last year, and they were able to put a rout on the Wolves, 42-13, dominating win as Davis jumped out to a 7-0 lead, and then it was all Heritage Hall after that. They led 28-7 at halftime and had no problem getting the win and pushing Davis to a surprising 1-3 start.
Yeah, whenever you talk about Davis being 1-3, the schedule though has been really tough.
Brutal.
I mean, sure 1-3 doesn't look great, but when you look at that schedule, you kind of think to yourself, okay, that makes sense, because I mean, yeah, it's 1-3 going into district play, but like we talk about Muskogee maybe being the most dangerous 0-3 team in 6A.
Right.
Davis is by far the most dangerous 1-3 team in 2A.
Absolutely. Shakota winning the 100th meeting between Eufaula, and that rivalry that has been so closely contested. Drew Dan going off, scoring 5 touchdowns total to lead the Wildcats to a 42-21 win. How about Bethany continuing their winning ways? They knock off Kingfisher 24-10. And I mentioned this game last week. Idabel taking on Louisiana Power Evangel Christian didn't go so well for the Warriors, as the Louisiana Power just absolutely dismantled Idabel 62-0. So that was a long drive home from Shreveport last night for Idabel. Jones picking up another win. That was impressive, winning away 28-6. Lincoln Christian shutting out OCS 48-0. And then one of our top 10 games in Class 3A, Victory Christian playing Shiloh Christian, was canceled due to all of the weather as well. 3A.
And you talk about Victory Christian, the kind of the backdrop to this whole season is the passing record.
Yep.
All of a sudden, Keats Calhoun is stripped of a game.
Yeah, it's true.
Someone brought that up last night. I was like, man,
that's a good point.
That stinks.
That's a good point. I believe he was about 600 or 700 yards ahead of Mason at my last check. And Mason, I mean, he played still well last night. Locust Grove had no problems. I think he finished with
262 is, I believe, what I saw.
Yeah, I knew it was over 250. I didn't think it was quite 300, so that sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, look, those kids aren't playing for the record. They're playing for the state championship, but it's definitely a fun race to watch this season, and that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. How about Class 2A and the defending 4A championship game matchup with Cashin and Thomas? Both them go down hard. Chisholm shutting out Thomas. That game wasn't completed. They called it, but it was all Longhorns in that one. 27-0 over the defending Class A champ. So it's the second straight week, Ben, that the number 1 team in Class A has fallen. Cashin loses a second straight and a shootout with Luther 60-48. I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to put your Kiefer Trojans as the new number 1 team in Class A.
That's right.
And give it up to you, because Thomas goes down this week. Cashin went down last week. And again, Friday, Cashin's probably going to be dropped out of the top 10. That's my preseason pick. Not looking good right now. Yeah,
that was one game I did text you about, asking you, is Cashin going to play some defense this year? Because
apparently not.
I remember driving downtown, listening to Spencer and Kevin on the radio. In the second quarter, it was 40-40.
That was the halftime score.
Like, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah, this is a basketball game.
Yeah.
Did you not know they were playing basketball last night instead?
Well, that makes a little bit more sense then. But, yeah, 60 points. And, look, the last Luther football player that I knew was really good was Josh Birmingham that went to UCO, and that dude was a stud. But I don't know anyone on Luther, but to think that Luther would score 60 points against Cashin, I wouldn't have guessed it.
No.
So Cashin definitely has some things to figure out on defense before the playoffs roll around. Assuming they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, if they're giving up 60 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that they're going to make the playoffs with the offense that they have.
Right.
But at the same time, the defense does have some question marks that need to be answered.
But the most important thing is we're just paving the way for Kiefer to be a top right now.
I think we're going to have to.
And that district is looking pretty tough, though. A6 is looking pretty brutal.
But they're doing the same thing they did last year. 3 straight shutouts. Although they played Begg's JV squad on Thursday night, I'm not going to give them too much credit for that victory. But still, a shutout is a shutout, and they've pitched 3 so far.
Give them credit for playing Thursday night and actually getting to play, though.
Yeah.
I know they weren't going to play. They had to play Thursday because the JV of Beggs obviously had to play with Beggs varsity last night. But still,
yeah.
Would have helped if we had more Thursday games this week.
which I think there was only like 4 or 5 total.
There weren't very many.
This week, there's not many at all as well. Non-district play in the books now as we head into week 4. Coming up next, we are going to talk about the 5 biggest things that we've learned out of non-district play. That's coming up in our next segment. Coming up later on in hour number 1, we're going to talk with Midwest City head coach Brandon Cray, or Darrell Hall. I'm going to mix them up all day long. Midwest City coach Darrell Hall, followed up by Weatherford head coach Woody Roof. That coming up here in hour number 1. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. This is the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy, right here on your home for sports, the sports animal, and streaming all over the world on okpreps.com.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology's flight program is designed to get you flying in your first week. You can spend less time in lectures and more time practicing what you've learned, so you could be certified in only 12 months. Also, our degree graduates are able to go for their ATP certification with reduced flight hours. Train for a career as a cargo, corporate, or airline pilot. For more information on starting an exciting new career, go to spartan.edu.
We excel at sports medicine. We excel at physical therapy. We excel at helping you excel.
With 11 clinics around Oklahoma, Excel Therapy is ready for football, for athletes, and for the fans. Our team excels in orthopedic injury recovery and sports medicine. Find us at exceltherapyok.com.
Be sure and check out okpreps.com tomorrow for the Week 3 Player of the Week candidates. We already have a couple of good candidates. We'll see if they make the final cut tomorrow afternoon. You'll be able to vote on the Player of the Week poll. And each week we will have a staff selection as well as a fan's choice. And if you look at the OK Preps homepage, Bishop Kelly kicker Hayden Ashley was this week's fans choice player of the week, and he gets the header pick on okpreps.com. To the winner goes the spoils this week. Jude Dan, Shakota receiver, had a great game. Nick Roller had a great game. Those two very good viable candidates for player of the week. Check that out tomorrow morning on okpreps.com. Right now, this segment, non-district play, is over, and we're taking a look around the state at the 5 biggest things that we've learned after non-district play. And Ben, we'll start in the big boy class, 6A Division I. After a couple weeks, they didn't get to play last week, but I think we know enough about Jinx to know that they're going to be strong again as the heavy favorite in 6A D1. But I'll tell you what, Broken Arrow and Southmore, after non-district play, we'll learn more about Broken Arrow tonight when they take on Union. I think that they're legitimate contenders in 6A Division I. I wouldn't pick them over Jinx right now, but I think that they would give the Trojans a good game if we fast forward to December and it's one of those two teams in the title game with Jinx.
You and I both know, we've seen this matchup 1,000 times, the BA Union game.
Yep.
Look, BA can be riding high. I think the year that they went to the state championship my senior year, I think they actually started 0-2, losing to Union and then Southside, something like that. But that Union game always seems to have, it's a fork in the road for Broken Arrow.
Yep.
Say they lose today, all of a sudden Broken Arrow starts to question things. Sure, they're probably going to win some district games, but then come Jinx, they're probably thinking back to, we lost to Union.
Yep.
So this game, I know it's a non-district game, but every year for Broken Arrow, it's, we're going to beat Union, then they never do. Then it's always kind of brings up some question marks. But I love David Alexander, love what he has done with the program.
Yep.
I know I picked Union. That's just because I've seen it way too many times.
I know.
I can't pick BA until I see them win. So
I had no problem with picking BA.
I know.
That was one of those things where
I think you and I are the alma maters that are super critical of our schools, and
Yeah.
Like, we see a lot of faults.
Yeah, well, look, we don't want to be classified as homers. That's all.
Right.
That's the only way I look at it. But
Yep.
look, Broken Arrow, this definitely is that. Look, the win last week against Capella in overtime, great. Pat yourself on the back. Beating Owasso on the road the way you did, great. Pat yourself on the back. This is the first real test.
Yep.
Because the only question that Broken Arrow has to answer is whether or not they have what it takes to win the state championship.
Yep.
That's the question each and every single year. So this is the first question. This is the only question. Forget about Capel. Forget about Owasso. Can you beat Union? Then worry about the rest of the season.
Yep.
If they answer that, if they win tonight, they're a legitimate contender in 6A Division I in my mind.
I would agree, and I would be feeling great about a win over Union.
6A Division II, how about the District 1? We talked about it. It's
Yeah.
going to be a brutal gauntlet each and every single week. Every team is improved. Like we mentioned before, Bixby, Booker T. Washington, Sand Springs, and Bartlesville. Those are your 4 top teams in my latest 6A Division II rankings. And you know, every week is going to be a battle for all of these teams. It's going to be fun to watch.
You know, I would have loved to have seen Sapulpa play a lot last night. Might have
Yeah,
helped us kind of figure out. I don't think Sapulpa would have won, but I think it would have helped us paint a better picture of what the Chieftains have to offer in district play.
Yep.
I mean, I think wins are going to be hard for them to come by, but you look at the top 4. You know, we talked about bold predictions before the season. I would say a bold prediction might be in this district: no team goes unbeaten.
Yeah, that's true.
I think every team is probably going to incur a loss somewhere along the way, and it's just going to be the team that can weather the storm and maybe come out on top of those district points.
Right.
You know, maybe we get in one of those scenarios where maybe it's just one team finishes with 1 loss, the rest of them kind of take a couple losses.
Class 5A looks wide open to me at this
Yep.
point. I honestly, I have no idea who will win. I mean, my preseason pick looks pretty good. Altus 3-0 start, but that 5A1 district is still going to be extremely tough with Del City, Ardmore, as well as who is the 4th one that I'm forgetting? Lawton Mac. How am I forgetting the defending champs?
Well,
Lawton Mac had no problem last night against Lawton Eisenhower. They beat Lawton easily last week. They're down their starting quarterback, but they're still putting up impressive numbers. Bishop Kelly, McAllister, Sky took all 3-0. 5A2. Who knows what's going to happen in that district?
Yep.
Guthrie, they're up and down. Bishop McGinnis, they're struggling on offense. Deer Creek, we'll see how they bounce back after a loss.
if we're picking now, I would say Carl Albert and Deer Creek probably be 1-2.
Yeah.
I don't know what order.
I think I'd give Deer Creek a slight edge
Okay.
in that conversation. Collinsville, they start the season 1 and 2, but you can't forget about them. 5A is going to be fun to watch the next 2 months or so.
Yeah, I think 5A4, if you're picking districts that are a little bit further down on the totem pole.
It's without a doubt the last one as far as the 4.
And well, one game that we did mention earlier, not that it was going to get mentioned in anyways, but Hale and Edison play tonight.
Yep.
DJ Hale gets to finally return, gets to coach the game. I had forgotten that he wasn't coaching the first 2 games of the year because of the Kaylin Mayfield situation.
Yeah,
at
in the playoff
in the
game,
playoffs. So, you know, with maybe DJ Hale back on the sidelines, maybe Edison, maybe I think they challenge Collinsville for that district. I mean, look, Talcahuano and Coweta, probably good teams, but I don't know if they have what it takes to win a district. We'll wait and find out.
Class 3A, it looks like it's turning into an absolute arms race for the state championship as Locust Grove, Lincoln Christian, Victory Christian, and Jones lighting up scoreboards throughout the state with just throwing the ball around. And you can't overlook Heritage Hall, the rushing attack that they have with Tank Love, Tevin McDaniel, Dawson Evans also there as well, making an impact offensively and defensively. 3A, it's going to be fun to see how these passing offenses do once we get into October, get into November, and it starts getting a little harder to throw the ball about 40, 50 times a night.
Yeah, I think a game that kind of flew under the radar last night was Lincoln Christian just housing OCS.
Yep.
I mean, I guess OCS maybe isn't as good as they have been in years past, but to beat an OCS team 48-0, I mean, that's impressive. Kind of what Metro Christian did to him the week before.
Exactly.
I was telling Joshua, I wanted to see the numbers on that game because
I actually have Micah Wilson's stats if you want them.
Okay.
I had them texted to me this morning.
Cool.
So if you want them, I got them. Micah finished 13-19, 247 yards, had a couple touchdowns, ran for 35 yards and a TD. He only played the first half and then 1 series in the second half. So another dominating performance. He didn't have to do too much to help Lincoln win the game.
Yeah, one one score that kind of caught my eye last night. I thought Sperry was always somewhat decent, but they got annihilated by Inola. Inola could be decent over in 3A7. I don't think anyone's going to challenge Locust Grove. I think Sequoia, they put on a pretty decent show, lost by 3 at Broken Bow last night. And a team that is really scary to me that no one ever talks about just because of where they're at, Westville. Westville continues to put up a lot of big points and a lot of numbers.
That's what I was going to say. Westville and Inola, I don't think they would beat Locust Grove.
But they're
going to be able to score with Locust Grove.
They're going to make these games really fun to watch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Class 2A has seen just mix-up after mix-up, and each Sunday I do the new top 10 rankings, and it's every single week that it's just a complete shuffle. I brought up the preseason rankings, which had Adair number 1. They're still number 1 despite the Locust Grove loss. Davis was number 2. They're now 1-3. They had a brutal schedule, though. Hennessy was number 3. They're out of the top 10 completely. You had OCS at number 6. They're out of the top 10 as well, after getting shelved by Metro in Lincoln back-to-back weeks. Christian Heritage was number 7. They're out of the top 10. Concord was number 9. They're out of the top 10.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to do with the 2A rankings each week.
Yeah, whenever I submitted my rankings for the AP this week, I think I had Davis way down. I mean, I know the schedule was tough. I meant to actually send those to you so we could compare kind of how we view things right now.
Yeah, that'd be a nice side-by-side rankings.
Yeah. That's my fault. I'll take that one on the chin.
We'll do it going forward.
Okay.
How about that?
But yeah, I think Adair right now has to be feeling pretty good. Also, funny thing, Adair plays Verdigris, but yet Grove Catoosa right down the road didn't play last night. What in the world is going on?
Yeah, no idea.
But sorry, I had to bring that up.
Idea.
But Adair, I mean, solid bounce back from losing to Locust Grove, 60-0. I think Verdigris they always have a decent team, but 60-0 is pretty impressive. And getting closer and closer to BJ Bradbury coming back, I think Adair is solidifying their dominance in 2A right now. And beyond them, it's just kind of a jumbled mess.
Watch out for Chisholm, though.
Yeah.
They jumped up into the top 5 this week and had a very impressive win over Thomas last night, 27-0. Watch out for them going forward. All right, we got to hit a break. When we come back, we are going to be talking with Midwest City head coach Darrell Hall. His defense just absolutely lit up. Oregon commit Terry Wilson last night. We'll talk to him and see what his thoughts were watching it from the sidelines. Also coming up in our next segment, we're going to talk with Weatherford head coach Woody Roof. Is it time that we take Weatherford serious as a contender in Class 4A after they go on the road to Oklahoma City and beat Bishop McGinnis soundly 21-7? They really controlled that game throughout the contest. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. This is the OK Preps Roundup, powered by our good friends at Excel Therapy, only here on your home for sports, the sports animal, and streaming all over the world on okpreps.com.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology's flight program is designed to get you flying in your first week. You can spend less time in lectures and more time practicing what you've learned, so you could be certified in only 12 months. Also, our degree graduates are able to go for their ATP certification with reduced flight hours. Train for a career as a cargo, corporate, or airline pilot. For more information on starting an exciting new career, go to spartan.edu.
You excel at end zone celebrations.
We excel at sports medicine. We excel at physical therapy. We excel at helping you excel.
With 11 clinics around Oklahoma, Excel Therapy is ready for football for athletes and for the fans. Our team excels in orthopedic injury recovery and sports medicine. Find us at exceltherapyok.com.
Welcome back. It's the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy, exclusively here on your home for sports, the sports animal, as well as streaming all over the world on okpreps.com. Also coming up tomorrow, after the Player of the Week candidates are released on the website, we'll come out with the new top 10 rankings in each class, 6A, D1, D2, 5A, all the way down to our 8-man power rankings. we're going to see some shifts. Once again, there's going to be a new Class A number 1 for the second consecutive week. I mentioned it earlier. Maybe it's going to be the Kiefer Trojans. Hollis is also undefeated. They were ranked number 2 in our last Class A poll, so maybe they get the bump up to number 1, but you can't deny what Kiefer has been able to do. It's pretty hard to lose when you don't give up any points. That's pretty much what Kiefer's done over the first 3 weeks. Again, this week they played Begg's JV team, but still a win's a win. A shutout is a shutout.
They've done that almost 3 years in a row now. I can't remember 2 years back, but I know last year going into like week 10, they'd given up 10 points all season.
Yeah, them and Booker T. Washington, like through the first 6 weeks, had only given up like a combined 15 points or whatever it was. It was ridiculous.
That usually translates to wins.
Yeah, normally when you give up no points, you typically win those games.
Yeah.
I'm not a math major, but I'm pretty sure all you need is like 1 point to win.
Yeah.
And you can't just get one. Maybe get a safety or a field goal here and there, and you get the victory. All right, we're going over to the west side and talking a little Midwest City football with their head coach, Darrell Hall. The Bombers got a huge win over Dell City in a rivalry clash last night. He joins us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. Coach, good morning, and thanks for taking some time and joining us here to talk about a huge win for your squad last night.
Hey, good morning to you, and thanks for inviting me on.
Absolutely. Look, we were paying attention to this game last night. Obviously, it's one of the bigger rivalry games each and every single year, and I was looking forward to seeing how your young defense would line up and match up against Dell City, and obviously quarterback Terry Wilson, the Oregon commit, and they did pretty well, getting 5 turnovers over Wilson, 6 total on the night. You had to be pleased with their performance.
Oh, extremely pleased. Guys did a good job of rallying around the ball and being around and taking advantage of a few erratic throws.
Now, what led to their performance last night? I mean, was there something in film study going into preparation going into last night's game? Did you have a feeling that the defense would have as strong of a performance as they did, or what led to it?
Well, our job was not to let Terry Wilson beat us. I mean, as you watch film, he has the ability with his feet and his arm to beat a team, so we had to make him one-dimensional. And we relied on history in the past. I don't know if you guys remember a guy by the name of Donovan Woods when I was at Star.
Mm-hmm.
He could hurt you with his arm or his feet, and we'd rather take his feet away from him. Well, the same with Terry. I mean, he could go yard. So we wanted to make him a passer. And, and hopefully we could get a few errant throws in there, and that's what happened. Be able to put some pressure on him, but, trusted he would throw some balls high.
Hey, Darrell, thanks for coming on and joining us today. Whenever Dell City goes down, ties it up 7-7, how impressed were you that your team bounced back, scored a couple touchdowns, and really took control of the game from there?
Well, I mean, they did a good job. We busted the coverage. They hit us with a pass like they're supposed to over the top, and then, then they score right before halftime. They block a punt. We're up 20-7, feeling, the game's not done by no means, but feeling a lot better. And then just for halftime, they block a punt to go make it 14-20. Well, we're right back in a dogfight again. And like I said, our team responded. We played our first complete game of the year. We played a half against Booker T, another very good team, and then we played a half against Carl Albert, another good team. And this week we finally put 4 quarters together, and I'm really excited about that.
We're talking with Midwest City head coach Darrell Hall here. It's the OK Preps Roundup powered by Excel Therapy. And you mentioned last week against Carl Albert, jumping out to that 28-0 lead and then giving up 21 unanswered in the second half. How good was it to come out last night, play 4 complete quarters? You got a scare from Dell City when they made it 20-14, but your team didn't freak out and they were able to ease in and stroll to the win. Look, 37-14 over a good Dell City win. That's huge going forward.
Oh, almost definitely. I mean, we're building for the part of the season now that really matters. Like we talked about this morning, it's kind of like your report card. These grades matter. They're going on your transcript. So we're headed to district, and we were able to win the Middale Schools football championship for the second year in a row, and that's an accomplishment. It never can be taken away. But our next goal is to succeed in district, become district champs, and to get better every week.
Darrell, we talked about you guys shutting down Terry on defense and everything, but offensively, you look at the scoring summary, and it looks like you had all sorts of guys find the end zone. That obviously, as a coach, has to please you, knowing that you have a bunch of weapons all over the field, not just kind of one guy like Dell City has in Terry Wilson.
True. I mean, the offensive line is growing up and blocking well. The coaches are doing a good job with them. But we had 200-yard rushers, and we hadn't had that in quite some time. And as you know, we've got to be able to run the ball. I mean, we're Midwest City High, and we doubled our rushing output in this game over the last 2 games. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come.
Is your running back one of the more underrated running backs in the state? I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's been able to do over the last season and a half or so.
Oh, I believe so. I mean, if he was starting at SB4s also, but I mean, if he had as many attempts as a lot of guys, he'd probably see a lot more punt. But he just doesn't get that many attempts. And if you look at his yards per carry average, they're right there with anybody.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Coach, we'll get you out of here on this. Going into district play, obviously the important games happen now. Choctaw looking strong again this year. Lawton is of course, going to be improved. What do you want to see from your club over the next couple of weeks moving into district play to find out, if this team can make a run at a state championship?
Well, we got to take care of the ball. We fumbled the first snap of the ball. That's had a great kickoff return. So we want to see improvement, ball security, and be able to be a well-balanced team on offense and defense. Continue to get turnovers and make teams work it. Carl Albers put a 16-play drive on us last week that woke us up, but we don't see those very often.
Well, Coach, congrats on the big win last night. Looking forward to seeing how the Bombers do once we reach district play, and that's coming up next week. I'm sure we'll catch up again throughout the rest of the 2015 season.
Well, Mike and Paul, I appreciate you guys having me on, and always glad to be a part of Sports Animal. Absolutely.
That's Midwest City head coach Darrell Hall joining us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. Talking a little 4A football now. Weatherford head coach Woody Roof joins us here on the program. Coach, first off, thanks for taking some time this morning to talk a little Weatherford football with us here in Northeast Oklahoma.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. You bet.
Now, is it time, and I mentioned this in our first segment, after Weatherford, you guys have jumped out to a 3-0 start. You get a huge win in Oklahoma City against Bishop McGuinness. We were able to watch most of that game on the OK Preps Network last night. I was paying close attention to it. I wanted to see how McGuinness would bounce back from the loss to Bishop Kelly, and Weatherford looked extremely strong from the start, getting a 21-7 win. Is it time that people around the state start noticing Weatherford and taking them seriously as a contender in 4A?
Well, I don't think so. I think we're trying to take baby steps right now. We're trying to improve each week. We've been fortunate to come away with 3 wins, but our defense is playing very well for us right now, but our offense is behind, and we've got to try to get a little better on our special teams. So we still got a lot of work to do, but our kids are playing hard, and they bought into the situation and the things that we're trying to do. So hopefully we can continue to get better.
Hey, Woody, it's Ben Johnson. Thanks for coming on with us this morning. Whenever you look at the stats from last night, what's it mean to a head coach to know that his defense held another team to minus 33 rushing yards?
Well, like I said, our defense is we've got some kids that can run to the football and get after the football, and that's kind of where we put our hat right now, that we feel like that we've got 4 new offensive linemen coming in from this year, and they're behind. They're a little green, not much experience, so we've got to play good defense to have a chance to win, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
I'm talking with Weatherford head coach Woody Roof here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. Coach, we mentioned the defense and how strong it is. How important will it be for them to keep up their level of play as you enter district play in 4A District 1, which features, of course, Anna Darko, who has been able to control that district for the last couple of years, but they're not as strong as they have been over the last few years. Elk City looks improved. They put a scare into Altus last night. And then, of course, Woodward. How important will it be for the defense to keep it up as you head into district play?
Well, I think it's going to be very important. Number one is field position. Like I said, we're struggling a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. We're trying to bring some green kids along on the offensive line, and we've got to have good field position. We're probably not good enough right now to be able to take the ball 80 yards and move it down the field and score. So our defense has got to continue to give us good field position and have a chance to put points on the board.
You mentioned not being able to go on a long drive like that. What has to happen for this offense to improve to where, a couple weeks from now or even next week as you open district play, you'll be able to go on those lengthy drives and be able to rely on the offense to make plays when you need to?
Well, I think more game experience is key. Like I said, the only way you get better is get out there and perform on Friday nights, and hopefully our attitude will continue to be good, and our kids will continue to work and bring that along a little slower than we want to. But I think if our defense can give us good field position, the confidence of the offense will start to pick up.
Now, Coach, doing a little research this week about Weatherford and getting ready for the game against Bishop McGuinness, which was one of our top 10 games of Week 3, I noticed and read an article that this is your fourth stint now as the head coach of Weatherford. How's it going so far with tenure number 4 so far? You're 3 weeks into the season.
Well, number one, I'm very fortunate to have an outstanding staff. They've done an outstanding job of bringing these kids along and working with them, and they made my transition from being the athletic director back to the sidelines pretty easy, and I appreciate that. And they deserve a lot of credit in us being 3-0 at this point in time.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to district play 4A1, looking like it's going to be entertaining every single week with Weatherford impressing so far. Woodward, once again, strong. Anadarko is always going to be Anadarko, so it should be a fun district race, and it might be a stressful race for the coaches involved.
Well, it seems to be every year. They take a lot of pride out here in 4A1, and like you said, you can't count Clinton out. They've got probably one of the toughest schedules of anybody. They've played the defending 2 state champions the first 2 games, and I think Plainview's ranked number 1 in 3A, so they're going to be a factor also. So it's going to be a very interesting race, you bet.
Absolutely. Coach, thanks for taking some time this morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'm sure we'll catch up later on down the line as we'll pay close attention to that West Side football out there in Oklahoma.
Thank you very much, you bet.
That's Weatherford head coach Woody Roof joining us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. Hour number 1 is in the books. Coming up, hour number 2, we're going to kick things off with Oologah head coach Brandon Craig. We're going to talk with him not only about the game last night as they were able to handle Glenpool and put on an offensive show, but also, hey, how about this? Get a little preview of Week 4. That's a game that might determine the district championship, and we get it in Week 1 of the district slate. They go to Wagner next week. We'll have Oologah head coach Brandon Craig joining us coming up in our next segment. Also coming up in hour number 2, we're going to be joined by Bixby running back Nick Roller after his performance last night in Springdale. We'll also be joined by Broken Arrow running back Jamal Shaw. The game was postponed last night. Shaw had the game-winning touchdown against Capel last week. We're going to be joined by him coming up in hour number 2 as well, and we'll also talk with Scott Wright of the Oklahoman. All of that coming up in hour number 2. Be sure and stay tuned in right here to the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight, and this is your home for sports animal and your home for high school sports, okpreps.com.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology's flight program is designed to get you flying in your first week. You can spend less time in lectures and more time practicing what you've learned, so you could be certified in only 12 months. Also, our degree graduates are able to go for their ATP certification with reduced flight hours. Train for a career as a cargo, corporate, or airline pilot. For more information on starting an exciting new career, go to spartan.edu.
elsewhere after that third quarter.
The fact of the matter is we've got to be more objective.
24/7, 365.
97.1 FM.
KYL Muskogee Tulsa.
96.1 FM.
KITO Veneta.
AM 1550.
KYL Sapulpa Tulsa.
AM 1490.
KBIX Muskogee.
AM 1470.
KGND Veneta. The Sports Animal.
You excel at yards per play. You excel at third down conversions. You excel at end zone celebrations.
We excel at sports medicine. We excel at physical therapy. We excel at helping you excel.
With 11 clinics around Oklahoma, Excel Therapy is ready for football for athletes and for the fans. Our team excels in orthopedic injury recovery and sports medicine. Find us at exceltherapyok.com.
Start with success, that's Midwest. Midwest Sporting Goods. Put some Midwest best on you. Midwest Sporting Goods.
Since 1976, when Tulsans and surrounding communities need baseball and softball equipment and expert advice on proper sizing of bats and uniforms, generations now have been going to Midwest Sporting Goods. Most youth football leagues have relied on Midwest Sporting Goods to fit their players properly, including the ever-important fit and design of the helmet. When young players need the very latest in styles for every sport, they check out Midwest Sporting Goods. Youth leagues, high schools, college, and some pro teams have relied on Midwest Sporting Goods to take care of the entire team or just one player. And they can do the same for you. Get all the latest information on products available for you or your team at MidwestTeamSports.com. That's MidwestTeamSports.com. Or head to either of their locations Monday through Saturday.
Put some Midwest best on you.
Tuesday, September 22nd. Join in the fun as John 316 Mission presents their 9th annual Shootout Against Hunger. Compete in the 50 clay shoot, 50 shot flurry, and enjoy barbecued steak and catfish afterward. All proceeds help feed and care for the hungry and homeless in the Tulsa area. The Shootout Against Hunger, Tuesday, September 22nd at the Red Castle Gun Club on the John Zink Ranch in West Tulsa. Registration is $200 for the day. Sign up now at john316mission.org. And to find out how your business can participate, call 918-574-8615.
Can't afford your own RV but love the idea of you and your friends tailgating at your favorite game? Then Territory Motorhome Adventures is for you. You and 7 of your friends can rent a luxury motorhome complete with driver and attendant and hit the road to whatever game you've been dreaming about. Territory Motorhome Adventures can handle all the details, including the menu and your choice of libations. You and your friends just sit back, enjoy the luxury accommodations, and tailgate in style, complete with smoker, satellite TV, and large flat screens at the base of whatever stadium you've been wanting to visit. Norman, Stillwater, Dallas, any Big 12 location, or maybe an SEC game or an NFL game, maybe Green Bay. You're only limited to your imagination. Tailgate like a champion without all the headaches of planning and packing. Call Territory Motorhome Adventures now at 918-706-6551. That's 918-706-6551. Or look them up on the web at TerrytoryMotorhomeAdventures.com. That's TerryTory Motorhomeadventures.com.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the OK Preps Roundup, powered by our good friends at Excel Therapy. I'm your host, Michael Knight, joined alongside Ben Johnson here in the Sports Animal Studios. And we welcome you back to hour number 2. Got a packed lineup coming up. We'll be joined by Oologah head coach Brandon Craig later on in this segment. We're also going to talk with Broken Arrow running back Jamal Shaw, as well as Bixby running back Nick Roller. Roller ran for 333 yards on 38 carries, 4 touchdowns, and a win over Springdale in Northwest Arkansas. And then we'll be joined by Scott Wright of the Oklahoman. And we'll finish off this week's show with a look at the Week 4 games. All of that coming up here in hour number 2. We welcome you back, not only on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, but streaming all over the world on okpreps.com. And Ben, during the break, my attention was brought to a story up in Bartlesville that is just all around sad, and that there's no way to go about describing it any other way. Wesleyan Christian, a school that plays 8-man football, has lost one of their own. Ben Ham, who plays for the football team, was critically injured in a game earlier this month. And very sad news to find out that he has passed away due to the injuries suffered in a football game earlier this month. But, I mean, I'll say this: our thoughts and prayers are with everybody, with Wesley and Christian. Just a sad story, and unfortunately, that's where football has come, where people keep getting bigger, faster, and stronger, and it makes the game more dangerous. And you hate to see a kid who, by all accounts, was just making a routine tackle, and it just went wrong.
Yeah, reading the story, I think and you read the same thing. Suffered a head injury from what the story says is a routine tackle. We don't know the details of the tackle,
right?
But clearly, it had to be some sort of significant blow for him. It said right after that he had surgery. Then the story says family members say the pressure in his head did not decrease as expected. So, just maybe one of those deals where the football injury happened, but then the body just didn't respond well to surgery or something like that. Just overall sad.
Yeah.
You hate to hear stuff like that. Like you said, thoughts and prayers to the Ham family.
Yeah, and look, it's one of those things that you hate to see, and you start thinking about the future of the sport and how dangerous it's gotten. I know that the NFL came out with a report earlier this week where they tested, I believe, 91 people, and out of the 91 people that played in the NFL, 87 of them had symptoms of CTE.
Yep.
It's a dangerous game without a doubt, and if you're not playing it correctly, and if you're going out there with a reckless abandon, somebody could get hurt. And unfortunately, in this situation, somebody lost their life. And once again, thoughts and prayers to everybody involved up there in Bartlesville. We're definitely thinking of you here. And I'll tell you what, you think of the future of the sport. And, right now I'm happy to be having a daughter. That way she doesn't have the choice to play football, because as a parent, and you got a little boy, he'll be growing up around sports pretty soon and wanting to play.
Oh, he's already got an arm.
You're definitely going to have to think, do I let my kid play football? And that's we've seen it over the last couple of years. Youth football is definitely down in the country.
Yeah, you always think about that stuff. I know I didn't play football growing up. I was drawn more towards basketball just because I was always taller as a younger kid, so that gave me a little bit of advantage whenever I was younger. Of course, then things evened out. But, I never played football. I would certainly not. I wouldn't tell my son that he couldn't play football. But it's one of those things that as he gets older, you kind of wait and see where the sport is. Definitely, we have technology to make helmets a lot safer. Everything. Clearly we're not there yet.
No.
I know they've tried to make helmets safer at the college, pro level, and even high school as well. But, there's still a long ways to go. The game could be a lot safer. I'm sure the association will look into it to try and come up with rules to try and alleviate stuff like that. But here's where we're at right now, and it's a sad story, and everyone kind of has to live through it right now and try and make the game safer as we go along.
It's a somber way to start hour number 2, but we definitely needed to shed some light on it, and hopefully, there can be peace with the Ham family and everybody involved up in Bartlesville. And wanted to just start hour number 2 saying our thoughts and prayers are with that family up there north of Tulsa. Sad story, and there's no easy way to segue out of it. And go into sports, because at this time, you hear about it all the time where, when you're talking about life and death, sports is so far down on the scale. But there is no easy way to segue, but we will do that now as hour number 2 is upon us. Oologah taking on Wagner next week. Huge 4A battle in a slate of games in week 4. Where the games aren't what they've been over the first couple of weeks. It's going to be entertaining to watch Oologah taking on Wagner. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on this game. Oologah coming off a huge win against Glenpool. Right now you have to give the early edge to Wagner. They've done nothing to show that they're not as strong as we thought they were before the season, but it should be an entertaining game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Wagner, like you said, they've rolled through the first 3 weeks. They've been on a roll ever since losing to Oologah last year.
Right.
They lost to Oologah in the regular season, and ever since then, and light flipped on, and Wagner's kind of coasted and they didn't necessarily coast to the championship, but the game, I mean, there was well in hand in the fourth quarter. They've started off hot this year, but Oologah's performance against Glenpool certainly catches your attention. And this game went Oologah's way last year in the regular season. There's no reason to think that Oologah is not going to be right there with Wagner at the end of this one.
It should be a good one. Let's talk with the head coach going into the matchup and also discussing last night's win over Glenpool. Oologah head coach Brandon Craig joins us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. Coach, first off, congrats on the big win against Glenpool last night. Did you see that kind of offensive performance coming?
No, absolutely not. We watched a lot of tape on Glenpool, and their defense was really fast to the football, and in the tapes that we saw, and their defensive line was really tough. And we thought we had a good game plan, and they slowed us down a lot in the first half. We got going in the second half and kind of opened it up, and just had some things go our way.
Were you kind of surprised by the final stats? Just looking at them earlier on this morning, you win 41-7, so obviously the offense has some success. You outgained Glenpool 495 yards to only 134. So both offensively, you're getting almost 500 yards of total offense, but also how about the defense limiting what Glenpool could have done?
Well, we knew defensively we were going to have to stop their run game. They have an outstanding run game, and our defensive line, I thought they played the best they played all year last night. Got off the football, caused some problems up front for them, and just did a great job at linebacker as well. We got two really solid inside linebackers that did a good job of reading their keys and getting where they're supposed to be.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for coming on with us this morning. Looking at these stats from last night, Casey Bass had a good game at quarterback. McKinney ran the ball over the place. He had 200-yard receivers. As a coach, who do you give the game ball to offensively?
Well, when you have that kind of production, you really have to give it to the offensive line. I mean, you can't do that without having some people up front do what they're supposed to do, and they did a great job. I was frustrated last night a little bit with our receivers. We had 4 drops that were big plays and could have been better. We had 2 shots down the field that we missed. We overthrew, and there were some things we did wrong that we can improve on next week. But I thought, our offensive line didn't play perfect, but they played good enough to give us some spots where we could make those kind of yards. So I would give the game ball to them for sure.
I'm talking with Oologah head coach Brandon Craig here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. Coach, we've talked about Braden Despain several times this season already. One of the more talented receivers, especially in the Tulsa metro area. Is it time that people around the state start recognizing him for the home run threat that he brings to this Oologah offense? And I'll tell you, whoever picks him up as far as colleges go is getting a steal.
They are, and Braden's one of those kids. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He runs the ball with the ball in his hands really well. He catches the ball anywhere. I mean, we just got to get it close to him, and he makes catches anywhere. He's at the next level. He's probably going to be an inside receiver, but he's a big target and catches the ball in space and do things with it that other people can't. And he does a lot for us, and defenses have to account for him every week, and that helps us out in other spots.
I'm sure you guys have spent time this morning already worrying about Wagner, and I know you beat Glenpool last night, and as a coaching staff, I'm sure you're already flipping the page considering it's district play. This is when the games start to count. Looking back to that state championship game last year, what's something from that game that maybe you do differently going into this week that you're trying to take away from Wagner?
Well, there's a lot of things as a coach when you watch the film, you go back and say, well, we should have done this or done that. But I honestly say this, at that point in time, we weren't 100% healthy, and, they exposed our weaknesses and just ran the ball at us. So we know going into this week that they're going to have to stop their run game, and if we don't do that, we're not going to be successful. And then obviously they've got 2 weapons outside that are outstanding receivers that we're going to have to account for too. But when it comes down to it, I know, their forte is to line up and smash you and run the football, and we're going to have to stop that if we want to have a chance to be successful.
So far looking at Wagner, they haven't done anything to suggest that they're not as strong as we thought they were before the season started. They're looking good. The quarterback, now a junior, Malcolm Rodriguez, looks strong, looks improved from last year. KJ Lee running the ball, as well as AJ Freeth and Nakia Jones on the outside. The offense looks really good. Looking at Wagner before next week's matchup, do you see any weaknesses with this team that you could possibly expose?
I got a chance to go down and watch them play Coweta in person. I left there and I stood there exactly where they were in the state championship game. They're right on cue. You know, they got better each week last year, and what I saw in game one was the team that we played in the state championship game last year. So they're just going to continue to get better and better, and their quarterback's outstanding. Got a lot of weapons in the backfield, a lot of weapons outside. So it's a big handful, and we're going to have to do some really, really good things for us to be successful in Wagner.
And Brandon, you know, you look at, I know you talked about a couple drop passes from last night. You know, how far has Casey Bates progressed as a quarterback, you know, this year taking over for Peyton?
It's really amazing. I go back and watch film from last year. We kept the playbook really simple for him. We didn't ask a lot of him when he was in for Peyton last year. We had spring ball. We went to some camps. You know, we went to 7-on-7 every week and just watched him mature through the summer. And by the time we got to the last 7-on-7 in the summer, I could see that he was going to be able to handle the whole playbook. And we do a lot of things, and we ask a lot out of our quarterback. And if you ever watch our offense, he's reading something on every play, so there's a lot of decisions to be made. And he's taking some major steps. And, you know, he's still maturing. We still got work to do, but I feel comfortable calling any play with him back there.
We're talking with Oologah head coach Brandon Craig here. It's the OK Preps Roundup powered by Excel Therapy. Oologah now 2-1 on the season after a win over Glenpool last night, 41-7. Huge game against Wagner, the reigning 4A champions, coming up on Friday here in week number 4. Coach, it's the first week of district play, and yet this feels like a game that could possibly decide the district championship. How do you contain your kids' emotions and say, okay, look, whatever happens on Friday night, we still have the rest of the season to play before we worry about playoff seedings, district championships, or anything like that?
It's tough. It's really tough because, Bo, I talked to Coach Condit this morning. Both of us don't like having to open up with each other in district play to start off.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something the schedule when we rolled, you know, we shuffled the deck and everybody drew their number. This is how it worked out. So we've got to be up. We've got to be excited about playing them. And we got to understand that after that, we've got games left that we have to go win to get to where we want to get to, no matter what happens. You know, I mean, win or lose. So it's just, and what I tell my kids every week, and I'm sure every coach out there tells them, you know, in football, we get 10 games. We don't get a game on Tuesday and, you know, like baseball and basketball and other sports. So we have to be ready every Friday night to give our best effort and go out there and have that one time a week to showcase our talent. So, I mean, we're going to go out there and be ready to play, and I feel like they're going to be ready to play, and whatever happens, you know, both teams are going to continue to try to be successful.
All right, we'll get you out of here on this, Coach. The one big thing that has to happen for Oologah to go on the road and walk away with a huge win over Wagner on Friday, what is it?
You know, that's a tough question because there's so many things, but I go back to our defense has to stop their run game, and if we can make them one-dimensional, we might have a shot. You know, it's one of those things, though. They're so talented. You know, looking at it as a coach defensively, if I could go in there and we could do a great job of stopping their run, I would feel really good about it.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching it next Friday night. I know there's going to be a lot of eyes on that game around the state of Oklahoma with so much on the line, and it's only week 1 of the district play. Looking forward to it next Friday, and congrats on the win last night against Glenpool. We'll catch up with you later on down the line.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Oologah head coach Brandon Craig joining us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. I'm fired up for that game already. Yeah. Look, in a week of games that aren't as highly anticipated as some of the weeks that we've already had, some of the weeks that we'll continue to have, that game is without a doubt the game of the week, and we're fortunate enough to be able to check it out on the OK Preps Network next Friday. I know there's going to be a lot of eyes on it, including mine. I'll have my setup once again where I'm checking out games all across the state, but I'm going to keep going back to that game in Wagner because there's so much on the line, and it's only week 4.
Yeah, you were talking about next week's slate of games. I was kind of looking through them, and, yeah, 6A doesn't really give you much. 5A, you got a couple. You go Memorial Bishop Kelly, fun matchup, and then Coweta Collinsville. But beyond that, I mean, yeah, you go down to 4A, that's where it's at.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That'll be a great one.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And you can tune in as well, not only to our viewers on okpreps.com, but if you're listening on your home for sports, the sports animal, you can go to okpreps.com on Friday night. We'll have a complete broadcast schedule available to check out with all of the games that is available to watch on OK Preps, and Wagner Oologah, definitely the marquee game next Friday night. Be sure and tune in for that, as I will be doing throughout Friday night, and we'll, of course, be updating you on Twitter. You can follow us at OKPrepsTV and at OKGridiron as well. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, it's time for our Thrive Performance Tip from our friend at Excel Performance Training, Sean Garner. He's back with another Thrive Performance Tip from the gym there at Excel Performance Training. We're also going to talk with Bixby running back Nick Roller after his game last night against Springdale over in Northwest Arkansas. And I think it's pretty safe to say, look, I'll take a look at some of the other candidates and some of the other performances from last night, but I think it's pretty safe to say that Nick Roller is going to be a candidate for Player of the Week this week, which, by the way, last year he took that title home twice, once for a Week 2 performance and then again after his performance in the championship game. And he's once again up for Player of the Week after last night's win over Springdale.
He's pretty good at football.
Yeah, he's good.
From what I gather.
He's good.
I remember last year watching him against East Central just bowl over people, thinking Bixby has a good one.
I just wish it was 1985 for him, because if that was the case, he'd be getting letters from all over. But
he'd be a perfect fullback in any system.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's typical to say this, but he's like a bowling ball out there. He's just rolling over people left and right, and I mean, kind of goes with the name hand in hand.
I'll say this: he's going to get a shot. He's going to get a shot somewhere. We saw a similar running back like him just a few years ago in the state from Norman North, Bo Blankenship. He originally signed with Iowa State. He ended up at Ohio and had a fantastic career there. Look, it's not OU, it's not OSU, it's not big-time college football, but somebody's going to take a chance on Nick Roller, and they are going to be extremely successful with him. I see a lot of Bo Blankenship in Roller. In fact, I'll be quite honest. I think Roller is better than what Blankenship was when he was at Norman North. So we'll see what the future holds for Nick Roller. We'll ask what the future holds. Who has he been talking to? Who has he been hearing from? He's coming up next, as well as our Thrive Performance Tip from Sean Garner. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. This is the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy, exclusively here on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, and simulcasted live on OKPreps.com.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology's flight program is designed to get you flying in your first week. You can spend less time in lectures and more time practicing what you've learned, so you could be certified in only 12 months. Also, our degree graduates are able to go for their ATP certification with reduced flight hours. Train for a career as a cargo, corporate, or airline pilot. For more information on starting an exciting new career, go to spartan.edu.
Conversions. You excel at end zone celebrations.
We excel at sports medicine. We excel at physical therapy. We excel at helping you excel.
With 11 clinics around Oklahoma, Excel Therapy is ready for football for athletes and for the fans. Our team excels in orthopedic injury recovery and sports medicine. Find us at exceltherapyok.com.
Welcome back. It's the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy, exclusively here on your home for sports, the Sports Animal, and streaming all over the world on OKPreps.com. If you're a little confused as to the timing, that's because OU's playing. We'll be back to our normal start next Saturday morning, 9 a.m. until 11. And anytime OU's playing for the future, we will be kicking off alongside the Sooners at 11 a.m. That's what we do.
Quick update, 24-10 Sooners.
Yeah, Tulsa just scored on a touchdown pass. We have it up here in the Sports Animal studio. OU looking good. Baker Mayfield looking good, running in a couple touchdowns. Nice update there.
There you go.
We'll see. We'll see if the Sooners.
A lot of OK
pull
Preps
away.
players running around on the field, so there you go.
Couple Alexanders. You have Dominique Alexander and Derek Alexander, former Booker T. Washington standouts, playing against each other. Which, by the way, how about last Sunday, Booker T in the house with Tyler Lockett taking a punt back for a touchdown for Seattle? How about that? I watched it live. I was excited. I was fired up.
And then Thursday night, Chris Harris had an interception for the Broncos.
Yeah, he did. Against who?
In the red zone against Kansas City.
That's right.
I didn't enjoy that.
I enjoyed the heck out of it. I have no affiliations. I love the OK.
You're lucky
hey,
I'm here after Thursday night, man.
That was a brutal. That was a brutal loss for your Chiefs.
my wife the next day was like, I know why you're in a bad mood now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris Harris. Shout out to
Yeah,
Tyler Lockett.
well-
Hey, there's been a recent influx of OK Preps talent into the NFL, and it's only going to keep going. We got some good players.
Tyler
here.
Lockett, man. I took him in one of my fantasy leagues just as kind of like a steal. Like
Me too.
Late round. I
Me
didn't
too.
start him, but it's going to come to the point where I'm going to start him because, dude, he's going to be a special teams freak all year long.
Oh, yeah. He's turning into a solid slot receiver there. Russell Wilson starting to trust him a little bit more. Good to see OK Preps players doing great at the next level.
When they're not playing Kansas City. Sorry.
Even when they're playing Kansas
I'll throw
City.
that out there.
Especially when they're
Okay.
playing Kansas
All
City.
right, all right, we're going there.
What's up,
Cool,
Chris
cool,
Harris?
cool.
All right. It's time for our Thrive Performance Tip from our friend Sean Garner at Excel Performance Training. Each and every single week, he joins us with a tip that you can check out at excelperformancetraining.com for all those listening on radio and want to get the full scope of the workout that he helps out with. You can go to excelperformancetraining.com. But until then, we'll throw it out to the gym right now and see what Sean has for us this week.
Thank you guys so much, as always, for joining us here at Excel Performance Training for this week's Thrive Training Tip. Now, we all know if we want to sprint fast, we've got to have powerful glutes and hamstrings. So I want to show you guys a simple exercise that you can do at home to have that performance shoot through the roof. We call it the slide board leg curl. Now, if you don't have 3,000 square feet of turf in your house, you probably have carpet or tile. What we can do is if we have tile floors, we can use towels or some kind of furniture movers. If you have carpet, on our turf, we use these furniture movers. You can get these at Walmart. You can get Val slides online from a fitness store, or you can even use a paper plate. Just kind of be creative. You just want some kind of sliding surface for this. So what we want to do is we want to start on our back, keeping our toes pulled up towards our knees. Our abs are nice and tight and our palms are up. We're going to drag. Think about putting pressure into the floor with those heels as we squeeze the glutes, getting a big contraction from the hamstrings. Abs are on nice and tight, and then reach out nice and slow. As soon as our butt touches the ground again, we're coming right back up, driving those heels into the floor, reaching straight out. If that's a little too difficult for you, what we can do is we can modify it a little bit. We can do what's called an eccentric version. So we just bring the heels up to our butt, then we bridge the hips up, and then we reach those legs out nice and slow. So again, heels to butt, bridge, squeezing the glutes, and then reach. And now you're going to feel this big time in the hamstrings. If you're wanting to spice this one up a little bit, what we can do is we can do a single leg version. So keep the opposite leg, toe and heel pulled up, and then we're driving through. Feel a big pull in the hamstring that way. All your body weight on one leg. Same exact thing, driving that heel into the turf, and then reaching out. Guys, do this 3 sets, 3 times a week for about 8 to 12 reps. Watch the hamstrings grow, watch your speed and power shoot through the roof. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, like us on Facebook, and be sure to check us out on our website, excelperformancetraining.com.
Thank you, Sean. As always, looking forward to getting next week's Thrive Performance Tip. And once again, if you missed out, please check out their website, excelperformancetraining.com for all of those Thrive Performance tips from our friend Sean Garner at Excel Performance Training. This is the OK Preps Roundup powered by Excel Therapy. Week number 3 in the books, almost. We have 2 games later on today. Union taking on Broken Arrow, as well as Hale taking on Edison. And I think this is a good bounce-back week for Edison after Hale, they just struggle. It's a struggle each and every single year. No reason to think that they won't continue that. Edison, good bounce-back opportunity for them tonight. You fired up for the Union Broken Arrow game?
Yeah, I am.
You think Union's going to take it, though, huh?
I haven't seen anything in the past that's told me otherwise. I know
this is 2015.
I know
though.
Broken Arrow probably has more talent. We've been over this a million times.
They do.
Union has guys that are trying to figure out their spots. This has happened before.
I know.
And Broken Arrow. Look, I was looking back to the history this past week, and oh my gosh, it's depressing. One win for Broken Arrow since '89.
Yes. Which was my senior year in high school, by the way.
89?
No, 2008.
I know, I'm kidding.
The last loss.
Because that's the year that you refer to when Union people kind of get on you about predicting them to struggle early on.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
It happens. And look, it happens, but whenever Union struggles, they still beat Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
In every sport. It doesn't matter. Except girls basketball now.
Yeah.
Don't mess with BA and girls basketball.
You got girls basketball going for you. Wrestling, pretty good. Pretty good as well.
Softball.
I'm telling you, I like Broken Arrow. I picked Broken Arrow. I'm still waiting for Union to prove it. Last week was close for about a half against Jinx, and then the Trojans, they ran away with it. So we'll see. I on the record, picking Broken Arrow. I think the Tigers win, a score around 31-21, 28-21, whatever it may be. I think it's a touchdown, maybe 10 points, the difference in that game. I know, and that's why it's so important for this to be the first test. Forget about Owasso and forget about Capel. It's all about whether or not you can beat Union. And even though Union is down, Union is also still Union. And it's a mental hurdle. As much as they'll say it's not, it 100% is.
Oh, there were several times when I was in high school, BA had more talent or was on more of a roll, but it just becomes a mental hurdle for Broken Arrow, and it always has been. That's why I want to see what David Alexander can do, because for so many years it was Rick Jones, and then Coach Whitson, and some other names are escaping me right now.
Lancaster.
Yeah.
Spavital.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a mental hurdle, and I know those are good coaches, but for some reason you walk the halls of Broken Arrow, and it's just I don't know if we can beat Union. Awesome.
Well, we're going to talk with one of those players who's trying to get over that mental hurdle, trying to get hooked up with Broken Arrow running back Jamal Shaw here as the Tigers looking to start the season 3-0. And how about this? If Union loses, it'll be their first 0-3 start since 2006. Union fans not too fond of that year as they finished the year 7-4, losing in the first round of the playoffs. Kevin Wright, that was his one stint as the head coach of the Redskins. He subsequently quit, although I'll tell you, he was going to get fired anyway, so he resigned before that happened. So if Union, they lose tonight, it's been a long time since they've started the season 0-3. Don't write off the Redskins by any means, but I'll tell you, it might be a long year.
The good news for them is after this week, they get Putnam North and a Norman North team, which has some talent but hasn't really put it together. So I would definitely book Union for a couple wins before they circle Southmore on the calendar October 9th. That's going to be pretty good. I know Union gets them at home. That's a huge boost. Look, Union gets Southmore and Mustang both at home.
Right.
And Owasso is basically, it's like another home game because it's not that big of a drive. So
right.
The schedule sets up for Union in district play to have some success, especially having 2 games early on where they can kind of get things rolling. So I would definitely, regardless of how today goes, I think Union will be fine. That's why for Broken Arrow, I want to see Broken Arrow take that step and get past Union.
Well, let's talk with one of the players that will be on the field tonight as they try to take that step and beat Union for the first time since 2008. Running back Jamal Shaw joins the program here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. First off, Jamal, thanks for taking some time this afternoon, I guess, to join us here to talk a little football. Sorry that the game was postponed last night, but I'm sure you're looking forward to it tonight.
Yes, sir, and thanks for having me.
What was the mindset yesterday? I'm sure you guys are just fired up, ready to go, ready to take on Union in a Week 3 battle. A lot of people interested in the matchup, and then you don't get to go out on the field and play. What was the mindset and the attitude in the locker room when you found out you weren't going to play last night?
Our mindset was great. Everything was ready to go. We're all excited to get out there and play. We all had a meeting before. We're all excited. The defense is hyped up. The offense is ready to just go out there and run the plays. But when we heard that it was canceled, it was a bummer. But we know our mindset is still the same as it was yesterday, and we're going to do the same thing that we're going to do today.
Hey, Jamal, thanks for coming on and breaking down the game for us a little bit before you play tonight. Was there a consideration by the coaches to not play this game today as far as you knew, or did you guys have to talk them into playing, or was it just a given that they were just going to move this game back 24 hours?
We were trying to wait it out, but it kept lightening. We kept having to wait 30 minutes. So I guess it had to be something between the coaches or something. I'm not sure about it, but I just know it was canceled, and we got it back rolling today.
We've talked about, Broken Arrow having to get over the mental hurdle of both Union and Jenks. You have that opportunity tonight. You've been with this Broken Arrow program for so long, and you've watched, BA teams in the past have the talent like this year's team have, and they've fallen short against Union. What's the difference in this year's team that's going to be able to get over that hurdle?
I think it's more confidence is going to help us get over that hurdle. We played 2 tough games, and we played with mental, and our team we're all working together. Defense is working together with the offense. We all talk more. We're more social. We had a lot of communication with all the teammates, and we're like a big family. We all hang out at one house. We all just have a lot of fun, and we're just confident about this game. Like, we can talk to each other about it, how we feel about it, and we're just very confident, and we're ready to go tonight. And we talked about other teams in the past. We want to be different. That's our motto this year. We want to be different. We want to do what hasn't been done this year. We want to win the championship. We want to be undefeated. We just got a mindset. We want to win no matter what. No matter what's in front of us, we're going to face our fears. Whatever the Union on the helmet tonight will not matter anymore.
Talking with Broken Arrow running back Jamal Sean. I'm getting a little fired up.
I am too.
Yeah, he's amped up, ready to go.
I'm loving what I'm hearing.
Yeah, he's ready to go against the Redskins tonight. And Jamal, let's go back to last week. Pretty good win for BA going down to Texas and facing a Capel squad. You had a good performance. You were one of our candidates for Player of the Week, and running in the eventual game-winning touchdown. Had a good game. How much momentum do you take away from that Capel game, or do you know that look? A win against Capel, that's nice, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we still got a lot of work to do. We can't just dwell on that game and after this next 2 games, who's going to remember Capel? That's what I told my team. I said, okay, yeah, we won, but who's going to remember Capel after these next 2 games? Nobody's going to say, hey, Jamal, I remember that overtime touchdown. I said, nobody cares about that anymore. We just got to get our mind right and focus the next week. So we've just been practicing like we're 0-2, just like Union. We're hungry to win, and we want to win. We're just trying to stay humble, and we just want to go out there and prove everybody wrong.
Now, look, you'll be proven Ben wrong. I got Broken Arrow winning at least tonight. As far as the rest of the season, it's got to be irritating to hear that question year after year. Give us a thought on how difficult it is to hear the same question every single year. When is Broken Arrow going to finally win the state championship? Is it getting to the point where you're just fed up and you want to go out and prove everybody wrong and bring home that gold ball?
Yeah, we've been hearing. I've been hearing since I'm in the INFC game right now. I'm watching it. My younger guys, they wanted me to come to the game. And we've heard it. I've heard it since I was young. When are we going to do it? I'm at the game. When are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? I just hear it and hear it. And I told my team this year, we're just going to do it. We don't need anything. We don't have to say it. We're going to come out every week. We're going to come out like we lost the game before. We're going to come out hungry. We're going to come out strong. And we're all just ready to go. And we just hate that. We hear that from everybody. Are you going to do it this year? Okay, you guys said it so many times. That's one ear out the other. Right now, I really think we got the team. And the team, we all have one goal. It's not like somebody's trying to get a D1 offer. Somebody's trying to do something like that like the years before. We all want the same goal. No matter what it takes, we all want the same goal, and that's what we're reaching for this year. And I believe we'll be successful.
Hey, Jamal, how has Cade Yeager progressed as quarterback? I know, look, on offense you get a lot of the attention at running back, but with Cade being the quarterback, how's he progressed from, whenever you guys started camp?
Cade Yeager, he's building confidence. That's all I tell him. I just say confident. Because we got a lot of young guys, more than Cade Yeager. But Cade Yeager, he's just building confidence day after day. He's starting to get some connection with the wide receivers, know how fast they are, so we throw fades and just short routes like that. He's learning. He's a really smart quarterback, and he's starting to be more vocal, so he's just learning. He's just progressing every day, and I love it.
Well, Jamal, we'll get you out of here on this. We'll let you get back to that INFC game that you're at right now. With one question, what's it going to take to get a win tonight against Union?
Oh, we're gonna it's gonna be an exciting night tonight, and we're gonna go out there with extreme confidence. and we're going to take care of business. It won't be no, will Union be scared? Will Broken Arrow be scared of the Union on the helmet? Will they be scared of the Reds? We're at home tonight. We got the Jungle Squad. We got everybody on our side tonight. We're going to be excited, and we're going to take care of business. It's going to be an exciting game to watch for Broken Arrow Tigers.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I plan on making a trip out to Memorial Stadium and taking that game in myself. Good luck tonight, and looking forward to catching up with you down the line.
All right, thank you.
It's Broken Arrow running back Jamal Shaw joining us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. He's confident. They're all confident. They're ready to go. I'm fired up to see this game tonight.
I wanted to ask him, my decision could have been swayed if they were going to wear those helmets that they wore down in Texas, because those were electric.
Yeah, those are nice.
If they were wearing those against Union or here on out, state champs.
Based on the helmets.
The helmets alone.
The helmet's going to get it done. That's been the missing key. Broken Arrow's been so close before.
It's just been
What's
the B in the A era. I mean, that's what was missing the whole time. I just solved it.
The helmets.
The helmets.
He's got it. He's got the answer. David Alexander, if you're listening.
Helmets.
You want a state championship? Helmets. All right. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we're going to catch up with Scott Wright of the Oklahoman, talk some West Side football, as well as get his thoughts on some of the bigger things that we've learned since non-district play has come to a close, or at least almost has come to a close. Got 2 more games later on today, one of those being that huge Broken Arrow Union game. Looking forward to taking that one in later on this evening. He's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. This is the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. Scott Wright of the Oklahoman joins us next right here on your home for sports, the sports animal, and streaming all over the world on OKPreps.com.
This is Sean Garner, owner and head strength coach of Excel Performance Training. Being Oklahoma's only MBSC Thrive licensed facility, we're going to help athletes with injury reduction, avoid overuse injuries, and of course, get you bigger, faster, and stronger. We want you to be able to move properly in our controlled environment, so when you're playing on the field or court, it becomes second nature. All athletes will have a detailed workout plan and work in groups of less than 10 other athletes. So if you're ready to go all in and train with the pros, call us at 918-949-4223 or online at excelperformancetraining.com. Next season starts now with Excel Performance Training.
Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology's flight program is designed to get you flying in your first week. You can spend less time in lectures and more time practicing what you've learned, so you could be certified in only 12 months. Also, our degree graduates are able to go for their ATP certification with reduced flight hours. Train for a career as a cargo, corporate, or airline pilot. For more information on starting an exciting new career, go to spartan.edu.
Zone celebrations.
We excel at sports medicine. We excel at physical therapy. We excel at helping you excel.
With 11 clinics around Oklahoma, Excel Therapy is ready for football for athletes and for the fans. Our team excels in orthopedic injury recovery and sports medicine. Find us at exceltherapyok.com.
Welcome back. It's the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. We mentioned the Week 4 slate of games coming up next week. We will have our top 10 games on Monday. You'll be able to vote on those top 10 games. And on Friday, Ben Johnson, myself, Jared Hall will all make picks. We'll also include the majority vote of the fans' choice from those Week 10 games. And so far, the fans doing pretty good. My picks this week weren't that great. But I'll tell you what, I did get Chisholm over Thomas.
Yeah.
Got that one right.
And I asked for that one to be stricken from the record, and apparently that can't happen. So I'll take that loss. I'm really proud of that Skychick one because it was me against the world.
Yeah. When you say the world, you mean me, because everybody else is buying into Skychick.
Well, Jared had Collinsville. The fans had Collinsville.
Fans had Collinsville. Yeah, it was you.
That's the same situation in the BA Union game today. It's me against the world. Me and the U.
Me and the U. I got Jamal Shaw on my side, so I'm looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I want to switch right now after that interview.
It's too late. Locked in.
All right.
We're going to talk with Scott Wright of the Oklahoman right now. Either Scott or Jacob Unruh will join us each and every single week to talk all things West Side football, and he joins us now. Scott, how are you doing this afternoon, I should say?
Hanging in there. It was a late night. I needed a little extra sleep this morning, but it was a rough one, but we're here, man.
Yeah, you got some football in, though, so you were lucky.
Yeah, exactly. At least I got to see some games end.
Yeah, majority of the games in the Tulsa metro area either postponed or canceled. So, yeah, it was a long night, so it was kind of fitting that the OK Preps Roundup was going to have a late start to let us catch up on some sleep. And Scott, you were at the the Midwest City Del City game last night. Did you expect that kind of defensive performance from the Bombers, forcing 5 Terry Wilson turnovers, including 4 interceptions?
It was actually 5 picks and 6 turnovers. He fumbled one time, and so I didn't see those kind of numbers coming. I thought that they would be able to give him some trouble because they're strong enough up front. Midwest City is to get up in his face a little bit, and I thought they would be able to shake him up a little bit and force him to really make some plays. But I did not see 5 interceptions coming. That was a pretty impressive performance by the Midwest City defense and being in the right place at the right time and making some good plays on some 50-50 balls in the air and things like that. Jason Sexton, the defensive coordinator there at Midwest City, ever since he became the defensive coordinator a few years ago, has really preached turnovers and takeaways, and they're really big on that. It's something that they're really good at, but they really focus hard on it, and that's one of the big keys that makes their defense so good every year.
And Scott, Michael kind of posed this question earlier, talking about Southmore's maturation. What do you make of that win over Edmond Santa Fe last night?
It was really impressive to go out there. That's a much better defense than what they've seen through 2 games. I think Santa Fe's defense is pretty solid, one of the best here on the west side. So that was a big win for them to go out and put up that kind of offensive numbers. Now Edmond Santa Fe's offense really came alive, which we hadn't seen through 2 weeks. So I'll be curious to see how they're able to continue that and see if they can keep that going. But another solid win for Southmore, and they've got tough part of their schedule coming up here in a couple of weeks, where they've got Union, Owasso, and Mustang 3 straight weeks, and it gets a little bit crazy for them. So we'll see how if they can keep this thing rolling when they hit that stretch of their schedule.
We're talking with Scott Wright of the Oklahoman here. It's the OK Preps Roundup powered by Excel Therapy. Scott, I mentioned this in hour number 1 in regards to the Southmore win over Santa Fe. I felt like they needed a game like that after the first couple weeks of being able to handle Edmond Memorial in week 1, 35-3. Although that game was close in the first half, then beating Westmore the way they did last week. I felt like Southmore needed a game like last night because, look, this is a young group. There's no secret about that. And with 2 blowout wins in the first couple of weeks, it's easy to get an ego. It's easy to think, there's no reason why we can't keep doing this. And they got a test. How big will that test be going forward for Southmore?
Oh, yeah, it's huge because just like with that stretch of the schedule that we talk about, if they're in some close games, now they at least feel like they know what it's like, and they know what they need to do to win some close games. So that's something that's going to pay some dividends. For instance, last year when they were at Mustang, they were down 7-3 and had about 4 different opportunities to go in and punch in a touchdown to take the lead, but they weren't mature enough to go out there and finish off that game and finish off the victory. So that's something that they're really learning this year, and I think that it's going to really help them down the stretch when they're trying to go compete for playoff spot or they're in the playoffs trying to go win a game.
Let's talk about 6A Division II and going back to Midwest City. Is their district theirs to lose at this point? Lawton, they didn't get a chance to play last night, which you feel for Lawton having to travel all the way to Sapulpa only to be turned around and not get any game action. But at this point, with Lawton seeming to be at least a little down from last year's championship squad as far as making it to the title game, does it look like District 2 and 6A Division II is Midwest City's to lose at this point?
Right now, it looks that way. I think as Lawton gets some more game time under their belt, I think that they're going to come around. They've got so many new starters. I think that they're going to bounce back, but it's going to take them a little bit of time. By the time we get to that Week 9 game between Midwest City and Lawton, it really could be, for the district title at that point. and Lawton could be a different team than what we're seeing right now. And they've got that game at home, and so that's going to be huge when they, as we see what kind of a Lawton team develops between now and then. But it really looks that way. Stillwater is solid, but I don't think that they're ready to go challenge for a district title, and I'd say the same about Choctaw. So it really looks like it's Midwest Cities to lose if Lawton doesn't grow up real fast between now and week 9.
In Class 5A, we'll talk about the team that lost the game you were at last night, Del City. They have to put this game in the past really quickly as they line up next week, and they open up district play in that brutal District 5A1, and they hit the road and face Ardmore. How important will it be to get out of the gate with a win? Because, look, if you get behind in the district standings in this district with an Ardmore, Lawton Mac, the defending champs, and Altus looking as strong as they have over the first 3 weeks, it's going to be tough to come back from it and get a decent playoff seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Duncan's got that win over Guthrie, and obviously they've lost a couple since then, but they've obviously showed that they can go win some big games. So you never know what a team like that could do to mess up some playoff seeding. So Del City's got to make a quick turnaround right now. They've got Duncan and Altus coming up right after the Ardmore game, so they can't sit back and dwell on this loss. As bad as it was, they've got to erase it quickly and get back out there, because they've got the talent to go win this district, I think, at this point. But they've also got the ability, if they keep playing inconsistently like this, to miss the playoffs entirely. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, because with that district and really 5A in general. Somebody asked me the other day who I thought some 5A dark horses were, and I told them I'm still trying to figure out who the favorite is. I mean, the list of contenders is huge at this point. I mean, Lawton Mac with losing their quarterback for the year with the ACL. It's going to be a mad scramble, I think, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But I have no idea who the favorite is right now in 5A.
That kind of fits to this theme. Does anyone over there know what to make of Bishop McGinnis after 3 weeks?
No, not a clue. I saw them twice in the preseason, and I thought they were going to be pretty good on offense, and I was a little curious about the defense, but it's been really kind of the exact opposite so far through 3 weeks. So they couldn't get the offense going against Kelly or Weatherford. So we'll see how that goes. But I think that they're going to be there in the end. I think that they're maybe the third best team in that district right now. But I think that Coach Jones will have them ready for the playoffs.
Talking with Scott Wright of the Oklahoman here. It's the OK Preps Roundup powered by Excel Therapy. You mentioned Weatherford. They were able to get the win over Bishop McGinnis. Is it time that we start taking them seriously as a threat to win Class 4A? Although, look, the West Side alone is brutal in 4A, and then, of course, Wagner is just as strong as we thought they would be before the season started. But is Weatherford a legitimate threat to make a run in Class 4A?
They're definitely in the mix, I think. I think Woody Roof coming back, even though he's mid-60s now, and you can talk about guys that old being able to relate to kids or whatever, but this is a guy in Weatherford that people expect him to lead teams to victories, and the kids believe in him. The kids believe in his ability to lead them to wins, and so they're absolutely going to be going to have to be a team that you keep an eye on. I mean, to go do what they did against McGinnis last night in that 21-7 victory, it's really impressive on the road. You're absolutely going to have to watch and see what they're going to do. Now, there are a lot of good teams in 4A, so it's going to be tough, but they're right there in the mix with anybody.
Scott, I know this will include a ton of teams in all classes, but is there, good and bad, has there been a team that's caught your eye, whether it's been a pleasant surprise or a really bad surprise?
Oh, well, I'm not sure which category this falls in, but Davis being 1-3 just feels really weird.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at what is how badly they've been beaten in those 3 losses, and they barely beat Sulphur, which is obviously a big rivalry game, and you never know what's going to happen. Plus, I think Sulphur is better this year. But you look at the way things have gone for Davis through 4 games, and it's been a really rough start. I think they've had maybe some quarterback questions and trying to figure things out there. But somebody tweeted at me last night that I guess Davis is back to normal after back-to-back state titles, and I'm like, I guess so. If normal is just playing for state championships and not winning them, that's seems to be normal for Davis. The last 7 or 8 years. So we'll see what happens. But I think they're going to bounce back, and I think they'll be back in it. I can't think of anybody else now off the top of my head. Tuttle has been a pleasant surprise. I thought they were going to be good. I didn't know how good. They've really impressed me so far with Brad Ballard in his second season.
Scott, we'll get you out of here on this. Week 4, I've mentioned it multiple times, not the best slate of games across the state. Look, there's going to be some good matchups, but as far as what we've had over the first 3 weeks were some really good games all over the state, not a whole lot as far as top 10 teams doing battle in Week 4. You have Del City taking on Ardmore. Bishop McGuinness at Guthrie will be interesting just to see which team will bounce back from the non-district stretch. John Marshall at Blanchard, one that I'm interested in. Is there a matchup next week that you're already fired up for? I know over here on the east side, a lot of people are going to be paying attention to Oologah traveling to Wagner.
Yeah, that's a big one that jumps out at you right away. John Marshall Blanchard doesn't interest me at all. I think Blanchard's really down. I think John Marshall is a lot better than people are giving him credit for, or some people anyway. So I think they handle that game pretty easily. It's Week 4 is always such a letdown because you have so many good non-district games the first 3 weeks, and then you get a district play and you start getting a bunch of clunkers thrown in there. But that McGuinness Guthrie game is probably in this area is going to be one of the biggest ones because it's only Week 4, but that game is going to have, I think, we'll look back at Week 10 and say that was a really big game in the playoff race in that district. So that's one that I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. And it's like I said, it gets rough this time of year because you get a lot of bad games mixed in with the district play after so many exciting games in the first 3 weeks. But it'll turn around and it'll end up being a.
We were spoiled. We were spoiled in the first 3 weeks, but I'm right there with you. There's going to be some good matchups later on down the line. Scott, always good talking to you. We'll catch up in a couple of weeks. I know Jacob is scheduled to come on the next 2, so we'll talk to you in October.
Awesome. Sounds good.
That's Scott Wright of the Oklahoman joining us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy. We'll get out of here on this. We got the thoughts from Scott. The one game you're fired up for in Week 4. I think it's an obvious pick, but let's talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I was there for the championship game. I know you were at the Jinx Union title game.
Yep.
But the show that Wagner put on in the championship game was really impressive. I want to see what Oologah can do coming off. I know they've played since then, and they've had a whole off season. But I want to see what adjustments they've made for Wagner because Wagner did pretty much anything they wanted. KJ Lee ran wild. Malcolm Rodriguez completed a lot of passes.
Yep.
What does Oologah take away from him? I know Brandon Craig talked about taking away the running game, but you do that, well, then you have Nakia Jones, Malcolm Rodriguez in the passing game to worry about.
Don't overlook the Sand Springs-Bartlesville game. I'm fired up for that one. Memorial at Bishop Kelly, 2 undefeated teams right there. And Westfield traveling to Locust Grove.
I was just looking at that one.
Locust Grove might win by 30, but Westfield's
But it's going to be like
points.
70-40.
Yeah, exactly. Should be a fun one. All right, he's Ben Johnson. I'm Michael Knight. Thank you to all of our guests who joined us here on the OK Preps Roundup. We'll be back to our normal time next week from 9 till 11, talking all things Week 4. It'll be the first week of district play. It's time for some big boy football. These games count towards the playoffs. All right, for Ben, I'm Michael Knight. For everybody here with OK Preps as well as the Sports Animal, we will talk to you next Saturday morning. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that Oologah-Wagner game. You can catch it only on okpreps.com. Tune in every single Friday night for all the best high school football games around the state of Oklahoma. Until next Saturday, have a wonderful weekend.